I'm going to give you a very brief overview of what the priorities of the United Nations work in Uzbekistan will be in the year 2014. First of all, 2014 is the fourth year of our United Nations Development Assistance Framework. That is the business plan between the government and the UN, which defines four areas of cooperation, namely economic development for vulnerable groups, access to social services, environment protection, and finally good governance. These areas we have been supporting for a couple of years now, and work on these areas will be continuing in 2014 with an overall envelope, with an overall delivery of about 25 to 27 million US dollars. Now, a few areas of these four will receive special attention this year, and this is first of all to help the government implement the agenda of the President to further strengthen democratic reforms through support to rule of law and judicial reforms, but also through support of the government that has accepted a number of recommendations coming out of the Universal Periodic Review process, and the UN will support the implementation of some of these recommendations. The other area that is very important is the area of the Year of the Healthy Child, which was recently announced by the President. Several UN agencies are working on the welfare and development of children already. UNICEF, WHO, and the UN will put its support behind this very important agenda, which is very much in line with our vision, namely the Millennium Development Goals achievement. This also has to do with some joint research on poverty criteria that will be conducted together with the government. So these are the programmatic areas of support. But 2014 is also very important because it is the year of strategic planning together with the government. In addition to our ongoing program, we will define the agenda for the years 2016 to 2020 by developing a new UNDAF, a new United Nations Development Assistance Framework. This process will be very consultative, will be intensively done in cooperation with the government and other development partners, and will lead us to a document that will be ready by November 2014, which will define those new areas of support in the next 5 years, starting from 1st of January 2016. While we have this ready already at the end of 2014, it takes a little bit of time to approve this next year, and as I said, we will have a very clear vision for the time until 2020 in our cooperation with the government. Now, for a long time, the UN has collaborated under the umbrella of the Millennium Development Goals, and it can be said already now that the next 5 years will broadly also focus on this agenda, and therefore we have at the moment a very intensive dialogue going on with the government on stock taking of the Millennium Development Goals in Uzbekistan, and that is not only focused on the national averages, but is also especially focused on regional disparities. And this dialogue will enable us later, when we are planning later this year, to focus our resources specifically towards areas and groups that perhaps have not performed so well for certain reasons in achieving these Millennium Development Goals. This dialogue will also focus on looking beyond 2015, because Millennium Development Goals is a framework that goes technically until the year 2015. And our support is much longer than that, so we will consult with the government how the agenda will look beyond 2015. There is currently a large consultative process going on worldwide, and we will have a number of events applying this framework to Uzbekistan and deriving from that specific tailored priorities for Uzbekistan. Finally, let me say that the United Nations in Uzbekistan are already a very strong team, but we will take a couple of further steps to work as one United Nations. We are 7 UN agencies here. Our agendas are very complementary, but this year through our planning process, but also through thematic coordination groups, through joint communication, we will move a couple of steps closer together, so that we are even more efficient as the United Nations system in support of the government and the people of Uzbekistan. I want to end with the assurance that the people of Uzbekistan, from the perspective of human development, will always remain in the center of our consideration.